Masks. I wear a mask around people, not to show a fake me, but to just protect myself.
In what way did it change your outlook?
Well, not even just on people, but myself. Yeah. I still wear a mask to this day. Everyone does, you know.
Like people, including yourself.
Yeah.
Have changed. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess I'd say I have a fear of being, since back in school I was bullied a lot, and I've had those moments where I've been called those names and I've lived up to those names, you know what I mean? And I guess it's one of those things where I'm frightened of my past, but I know that now, like, I can't be judged by my past, but I still have that thing inside my brain that goes, hold on, are you saying something that sounds weird, or are you saying something that shouldn't be said around these types of people? And that's how I know if I want to talk to this bloke more. Perfect example right here.
Where are you at now? And what have you done to get here?
My life is currently gym, work and study. Now, pretty ordinary life, but I actually live it to the fullest, you know. I didn't have that much going for me when I was back in school, because I was in school.
Yeah.
And I still didn't, you know, make the most of my life. But now that I have more on, I'm still doing more things, because I understood that back in school, when I didn't have that popularity, I wasn't invited to a lot of things. Not that I cared, because the people that I could have potentially been invited the people that I was going to hang around were probably not going to be good people anyway. One thing that's really helped me get to where I am today is something that my dad taught me, a little analogy. So you know, tides of the ocean, they're always going out and they're always coming back in again.
Oliver and I have used this before.
And this has purely gotten me through everything, and I maintain this mindset with everything going on in my life. When the tide is in, life's great. Little stress, you're having fun, everything, you've just always got a smile on your face and life's good. When the tide's out, it's the complete opposite. You've got heaps of worry going on in your life. You're stressed about where you were, where you're gonna be. You know, you don't have the best support going on around you. But there's one thing to remember with the tides, and that the tide always comes back in again. So when you're feeling down and you're feeling like the world's ending and you've got no support and your walls are crumbling down, just remember, this pain is temporary. The tide will come back in again, right? But also, you have to acknowledge that once the tide comes back in, it's always going to go out again. And you got to be prepared for those moments, you know. And, you know, on understanding this concept of the tides, you could also bring into it something like a rip. I was always taught from my dad when I was younger from the beach that when you get stuck in a rip, you let it take you, because it will bring you back in again. I've been in many rips in my life, mentally.
Same, I've been in heaps of rips, and I guess it's funny you say that, actually. When you get into a rip, it's like you're in that situation where it's absolutely fucked. But the best thing you can do is stay in it and let it take, instead of fighting against it. And I feel like a lot of us try and fight against the rip. We try and paddle it. You can't swim against the rip, dude. You know how the beach works. I did nippers. Like, you can't do that. And I feel like a lot of us, we have a problem. We have something that we're feeling and we don't want to feel it.
And that's completely fine, because I'll tell you what, those moments where you're at your lowest, you're at your strongest. You learn the most. And I am where I am today because the tide has been way out. But the tide has come way back in again.
Another thing you could even add to that is like learning how the beach works. Each beach is different. Each beach that you swim in is different. And learning how to really manage those waves when those big sets come in. Learning to duck under them, whether you got to paddle out or not, or whether you just ride the wave in. Oh, dude! Riding the the wave
Oi.
into the beach.
And you might fall off. You might get dumped.
You fall in the water.
You might get smashed in those waves. But you're always gonna get back up again and get right back out there, bro.
You just
Right
paddle
back
out.
out
You
there.
land in the water. You float to the top.
And I will continue to use this throughout my life. I've got big aspirations, and I think those big aspirations will lead me to a lot of stress and a lot of hard times, a lot of tides out moments. But if I maintain that thought that the tide will always come back in again, which it does, then everything's going to be okay.
Beautiful, mate. I have a third question. A third big question. That's great. That's great stuff, dude. Where are you going, and how do we get you to where you want to be? Where you want to go? Who are you? Who are you now? This is probably a question I could have asked at any point, but I'm asking you now. Who are you? What's your character? And I guess when I ask you where you want to be, that has a lot to do with your character. So where do you want to go? Where are you going?
Where am I going?
What's the future hold?
I, in life, have always been that one person that my mates could come to about anything. I've always been that one person that stays completely honest, and I don't laugh. I listen and I indulge in it, and I offer my feedback where I have experienced that as well. And in that time, I was able to sort of understand that maybe a psychology pathway in my life would be a good idea, like a therapy. Due to some complications with, the whole difficulty of psychology in its course, and I kind of understood that, my dad's always been in business, and I've always followed in his footsteps, and I've had a passion for business, and now I'm going down a career of human resources, which is the perfect combination of psychology and business.
It is too.
And one thing I've learned about myself in this time, and this is my greatest strength, 100% my greatest strength. I see things, I see people, and I understand, I notice. My awareness is so beyond ever I could imagine. Now, analysis. That's where sometimes a problem might arise. Because sometimes I can overanalyze.
Oh,
right?
100%, I get this.
So I could be in a moment.
People could get this.
Yeah, well, I could be in a moment where I'm like, okay, so this is the current situation, and at face value, it's probably not that much.
Yeah.
But this little brain here goes, okay, this will lead to this, which 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 that creates that high expectation of myself that I was saying earlier. Having those high expectations, exactly. I think so far ahead that I'm not just trying to make one step at a time, man. That is definitely a big weakness of mine. One step at a time.
Do you think, that because when you say you see a certain bit ahead, you forget to actually see what's right there in front of you?
100%.
You go so far ahead, and you've made up all these steps in between that are just in your head. They're not there.
100%.
And I'm a victim to this as well. I definitely make up plenty of scenarios in my head, and by the time that I've thought them through, it's like my brain's surviving mechanism. It's like it does that to make yourself feel good in a way. Creating a situation, envisioning it. You get to a point where you've thought so far ahead that you've forgotten what actually started it.
Yeah.
And it was such a little thing.
100%.
And it's created all these divergent pathways, and it's just, I feel like sometimes you've just got to drop it.
If I stress myself on the things that I expect myself to be when I'm older, then I believe that I'll never have the motivation to get there. Because I'll spend so much time worrying about all the things that I've got to do to get there, rather than doing all the things I've got to do to get there.
I actually have a quote, a conversation on this that I actually want to bring up. And this is literally that exact thing. You are not lazy, but paralyzed by too many desires. Your mind wants 1,000 things at one time, making it completely stop you from moving forward at all. Break the cycle and choose one thing and direct all your attention towards it.
Facts. Real. Deep.
I got that real. That's not my For You page, guys. Don't worry.
To sum up my point, it was simply what I said. Like, I'm too worried about all the steps it's going to take to get there, rather than actually taking that first step.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?